Welcome to Becoming is Messy, where we dive deep into the journey of survival, transformation, and everything in between. I'm your host, Meghann Allison, here to share the honest, unfiltered stories behind my own process of becoming. Life isn't a pretty and perfect straight line, and neither is becoming the person we're meant to be. Here, we embrace the ups, the downs, all the beautiful, chaotic, messy moments that shape who we are. Whether you're in the thick of change or reflecting on past transformations, this space is for real conversations about what it means to grow, stumble, and rise again. So get comfy, settle in, and let's get messy. Fellow Messies, today's episode is for anyone who's ever felt stuck, scared, or like they're waiting for the perfect moment to go after what they really want. Spoiler alert, that moment does not exist. But today's guest, she's here to help you launch anyway. Allison Michels is a global leadership trainer, keynote speaker, cognitive coach, and award-winning entrepreneur who has worked with some of the biggest brands in the world: Coca-Cola, United Healthcare, Goldman Sachs, just to name a few. She's spent the past 15 years proving that success isn't about perfection. It's about taking bold, imperfect action, believing in yourself before you feel ready, and pushing past fear to make impossible things happen. She's the founder of The Launch brand, a 5-time best-selling author, and the host of the Launch podcast. And let me tell you, when Allison shows up, energy shifts. She's got the kind of wisdom, fire, and no BS insight that will have you rethinking every excuse you've ever made about why you can't do something. So buckle up, because today we are talking about the power of believing in yourself, taking risks before you have all the answers, and launching yourself to new heights. Mess and all. Let's go. Allison, welcome to Becoming is Messy. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Meghann. I am just absolutely excited to chat with you.
You've built something truly powerful, not just a business, but a movement that helps people step into their potential power in a really tangible way. So many of us get stuck waiting for the perfect time that never actually comes. Your brand is all around the word launch, and I know that means to you something more than just starting something new. So let's dive in and start with, what does launch really embody for you?
Launch means really reaching that next level and launching yourself to that next level. And the story of launch actually is interesting. I started a youth leadership conference probably 9 years ago. And we had, I had never done that before. And I had this group of high school students and these leadership trainers, and we're talking about leadership, and we're talking about reaching your potential and chasing your dreams. And at the end of the day, I looked at everybody. Everybody was smiling. They were happy. They were excited. And I said, I think this is a thing. We need to give this a name, don't you think? And they came up with the name Launch. And it stands for something: leadership, action, unstoppable change, and something else. I can't remember what the acronym
Oh my
is.
gosh, I love that the teenagers came up with that.
Yeah, so the high school students, and we've trained over 1,000 young people in leadership development. We've trained adults. I've trained globally, and it started in that room with those high school students. So I can't take credit for the name, but I'm so incredibly grateful to help people launch in their lives, both personally and professionally. And it's just been such an impactful journey. It's fun to see where it goes.
Let's take a step back. Every becoming story has some sort of messy past. So walk us through some of the twists and turns that have led you to, that moment with those students, and then you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reason why I was in that room with those high school students, which, number one, I didn't want to speak to high school students. I never thought I would be a speaker. I didn't imagine I would have a business. Like, none of the things that I'm doing right now are a thing. And right after my kiddos were born, I have 2 children, I lost myself completely, had no clue who I was anymore. And I was doing everything to take care of my babies, which was great, right? But as a person, as Allison, I didn't know who I was or what I loved to do anymore. And I was really I was like freaked out. I was in a really bad marriage and I needed to try to rekindle who I was at my core. And so I went on a journey for a week. I got Post-its and smelling markers. And in my office, I would just get curious. Like, oh my gosh, what did I love to do when I was a kid? What could I do? And I would just feel energized and excited. What do people ask me to do? Just things that I thought were interesting. Who do I admire that does something amazing? And I came up with some ideas. I found that communication was always been a strength of mine. I started speaking in front of large audiences in 3rd grade. So I knew that that was something, speaking and training and all of that was really big. Leadership was very key to who I am and how I see myself. In 7th grade, I had a track coach tell me I was a leader and it shifted my life. And I've been on a journey to be the best version of me and to lead others and to positively influence others, but also to help them see that they're a leader too. So that was another word that kind of emerged. And then strategic. In all of that, I'm a planner. I love to plan. I'm very future focused. And to reverse engineer success, you have to have goals and then you need to have a plan. And that's one of my superpowers. So I kind of just went on that journey. I became certified through the Maxwell Leadership Program and speaking, training, coaching. Ended up doing transformation countries with John Maxwell, just like crazy. Worked with him to develop a youth program for the John Maxwell team. And it's just been one thing after another after another. And here I am almost 9 years later. I had relaunched my company last year after a role that I had ended, which was a blessing in disguise. Yes. What? Yeah, you understand that. And I didn't think that I would start a business. I'm a single mom and I was looking for jobs. I have a very strong faith. I wrote down, hey, God, if I'm supposed to start my business, show me a sign. And within a week, I had 14 people that did not know each
Wow.
other tell me to relaunch my company.
Wow, that is
And
incredible.
I know. I was like, whoa, if that was a sign, and so that's launch. And it's really, I have a mission and I have people that help me. This isn't just about me. There's a group of people that have made it possible to do the work that I do. And we have a mission to impact 1 million people all over the globe and just really help them see their full potential and to unleash their awesomeness and go to that next level of life. I believe that our greatest untapped potential on the planet right now is the potential of people.
Yep.
And I think that what's happening is we have a lot of people who do not step into their greatness because they don't think they're able to. They don't see their potential or they're afraid to. And what you're doing right now, Meghann, that's what I love. When I was talking to you before, the fact that you had a hard thing happen and you just are like, I'm going to just take imperfect action. I'm going to make it happen. You're stepping into your full potential. And what you're doing is you're positively influencing people in that process. And I think if we had more people like you and the planet, it would change everything. It would transform the world. And that's one of my missions is to help other people see that and see that within them.
Thank you so much for that, Allison. I feel like so much in your story aligns with a lot of my journey as well, which I think that's common as you step into your power and you finally follow that gut feeling nudging you, take the leap to do the scary thing and put yourself out there. It's like the whole alchemist philosophy. The universe truly does conspire to help support that.
Oh my gosh, that's like the 4th time I've heard that, Meghann, in the
Is it
last
really?
people have been sending
Crazy.
I get a text, people are
Yeah.
messaging it to me, and here
Wow,
you're
that's crazy. Well, I'm going to go on a tangent and tell you my alchemist story real quick because I always say a book finds you when it's meant to find you. And so The Alchemist years ago, I always say my life-changing book was The Celestine Prophecies. So,
I have it downstairs. I just literally looked at it.
Oh
Remember
my
before I was going to find a different book I wanted to bring on vacation, I picked that up because I had gotten it from an ex-boyfriend.
what? Have you not read it yet?
No, I
Oh
read
my
it.
oh,
I should reread
well,
this.
that's
Weird.
incredible. Wow. My
I should
life
reread it
changed
again.
like 10 years ago. And so Alchemist was a few years, probably a year later. And I kept trying to read it, but I kept losing it. And it happened 3 or 4 different times where it's like I forgot it on a plane or a friend was going to offer me her copy before a trip, but she by accident brought the French version. So I was like going on it, so I couldn't read it. And it took me like 4 tries. It was probably about a 6-month period. When I did read it, it was so perfectly timed. And so to me, it's wow, isn't that crazy?
Isn't that the best? I think energetically too. That's one of the things I'm noticing is when I can be in alignment with my true self and with source and recognize that everything is conspiring for my highest good, the craziest things happen. It's
Right.
insane.
Oh my
Like in
gosh,
a good way.
totally. I know. We just need to do future episodes on that. I feel like that's like my favorite is just manifestation stories and synchronicity stories.
They
And they're
are.
abundant when you're looking for it. When you're tapped into your gut, they're abundant.
Oh my gosh. I know. And just even the word abundance, that's been a word
Yeah.
that I've been really focused on in my life
Yeah.
is thinking about abundance, not just financially, but really in every area of my life, like feeling abundant in my health, feeling abundant in my
Yeah.
relationships and all of the areas. And I think when you can tap into seeing that and feeling abundant creates gratitude, right? Because you're
Yeah.
feeling so good and so grateful, it just oozes out all over everything. And as you have more gratitude, you attract really great things into your life. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's my word too. It has really grown into abundant, and I've come to learn that for so many years I did it small, and I never really wanted to ask for too much, and I would use the word fine a lot. Oh my gosh.
It's like,
See,
yeah,
we are meant
oh,
to
it's
meet.
fine. I
It's
know
fine.
it's fine.
It's fine. And then that's what the universe would give me all the time was fine. And it would be just enough to kind of get by. And so I'm really trying to challenge that, because again, I'm coming from a place of gratitude. I grew up worried to feel that, but really just instead challenging my own thoughts to recognize that there's an abundance for all of us. And we need to tap into that.
Yes. Can I tell you something
Please,
that I just learned?
please.
Because this is so in
Yes.
alignment with that. I have a
Yeah.
coach and he has this idea of receiving. And I heard this, what was a couple weeks ago, and it's just so beautiful. It was like too often, many of us are like that thing that we want, that goal, that dream, whatever it is, whether it's financial or it's a relationship or it's our health, is really at arm's length. And if we were able to release the blocks that are allowing us to receive it, it would just come in. And I thought about that and I thought I have a dream journal for this year and I have 10 like specific dreams that I'm working on and I
Yes.
have tasks and plans and all these different things. And I was thinking about my top 3 goals are my wealth, my health, and my love. And I recognize that in every one of those areas, I have blockages for whatever reason in my subconscious mind that are not allowing me to reach that thing, that area that I want to reach. But if I would let go of the blockage and I would release that, it would just flow to me. And it's so interesting because as we go through trauma, right? And for me, I've gone through trauma. I grew up really poor, a lot of different things that I think create these limiting beliefs around certain areas of our life. And it causes us to get stuck, kind of.
Yeah, the shit hit the fan, and it has not been an easy road. And there's just always something. And I've now come to learn that anytime I solve a challenge in life, there's going to be another one that pops up, and it just is going to keep coming. And so I might as well roll with it and keep solving. But I do need to share another kind of fun synchronicity. So on the guest right before you, so we had Shanti Refuge on last episode, and Shanti talked about the power of journaling. So that's her focus. She's a journaling coach. And I admitted to her out of all the different kind of techniques I've tried on my own trauma healing journey, I've never quite hit the stride with the journaling practice. And I feel like now just hearing that you've had some unblocking on some of those things that have been a
Oh
blockade,
my
I
gosh.
keep getting that sign that it's time to embrace journaling and give that a try. So I'm
Oh
excited
my
that you
gosh. Well,
shared.
and I think even, it's as easy for you as if you would take and she might have already shared this with you, but for my journey is really writing a letter to myself and, allowing myself to feel whatever it is that I'm feeling about whatever topic that's really keeps coming up and just letting it all out. If there was a great example is my dad was an alcoholic who just always would tell me that I was a spoiled brat and that,
Oh,
there was never enough. And
yes.
so that's a programming I have in my head. There's
Yeah.
not enough and I'm a spoiled brat if I want more and all
Wow.
of these different which is BS, right? And I know
Yes,
that.
right. Of
But it's
course. Yeah.
programming. And
Yeah.
I wrote the letter to little girl Allison talking
Yeah.
about, you're safe now. It's all good and it's okay and you're worthy of success and you're helping people and it's okay to want more. And allowing that to kind of flow is really powerful for me. So when that limiting belief comes up, I've reprogrammed it to recognizing the abundance and worthiness that I have and seeing it as just bad programming versus seeing it as a belief that I need to hold on to and recognizing it as that. And then also on the days when it's too hard to believe that, I have my friend Sharon is one of my best friends. And if I'm in that negative thought cycle, I'll contact her or I'll text her and I'll be like, I'm having a hard day. And she'll be like, it's a negative thought cycle. Like, what is it that you're telling yourself? And then I'll tell her and she'll be like, not true. And here's why. And like we do it back and forth to each other because oftentimes when you're in that space, it's hard to reprogram that belief unless you have somebody outside of you being like, nope, that's not you. That's not true. That's just your brain playing games on you, girlfriend. You're fine. You're loved. You're worthy. You've got this.
Aren't our girlfriends just so the best?
Oh my
Oh my
God.
gosh. I just did an episode on how powerful my husband is in a healing journey, but I
Yeah.
eventually have to do one on my circle of girlfriends because, man,
Oh,
not only do we have fun, but we all have different trauma backgrounds. And we just feel like being able to have somebody in that moment to be able to call that just gets it and lets you just kind of blah and just be you and not be judgy in that is
yes. So
incredible.
accepting and loved. Like I just feel accepted and loved whenever and I hope that I'm able to offer that to her too. And I think that's the
Of
beautiful
course.
thing about relationships is to be able to hold space for somebody. Sometimes that's
Yep.
all you need is just to hold space and listen and
Yep.
be in that moment with them and allow them to feel whatever it is they're feeling.
So true. Thinking of the people that come to work with you. And, so I feel there's a point where some of us have an openness and maybe an understanding of this. And some people might be coming and they're in that rock bottom, they're in that messy moment and they're feeling that spiral and they don't know a way out. And so I'm curious, where do you start with people to get them on this path?
Actually, it's so interesting you say that because I just had somebody I don't know post about how they want to give up on their business and they're really frustrated. And I've been there. I know how that feels. Any entrepreneur who is building has been on that journey where you're frustrated, you're doing all the things, you're in that negative spiral, you're wondering what's going to work or click or when you're going to find the clients and all of the things, right? You're doing everything, but nothing seems to be working. And what I told him is I said, he said he was walking on the treadmill. I said, number one, move your body. So that's number one. Every time I start to get into that space where I recognize that I'm in a negative thought cycle, I go, okay, how do I ground myself right now? What does Allison need? Ask myself that question. So asking yourself, what do you need? And typically it's a hike up the mountain. I live right at the base of the mountain. So I hike up the mountain. By the time I get down, I'm grounded. And I try not to think or do anything while I'm on the mountain. I try to give myself just space. Sometimes I have to feel in that moment. If I'm having a really hard time, if I'm struggling with something, if I'm frustrated or overwhelmed or maybe disappointed or hurt, I might have to cry. And allowing space for whatever emotion I'm feeling is really key. It's something that I teach my kids too, is like sometimes they'll have a hard day and they release the emotion through crying and it's accepted. It's not one of those things you can't cry, you can't. Yes, you can feel. What is the emotion you're feeling right now? Why are
Yeah.
you feeling it? It's okay to feel it. And I think that's one of the things, even as adults, we need to give ourselves space to recognize what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, and then ground ourselves to regulate our body. And then after that, when you're having a hard time, taking really good care of yourself is key. And so if I'm in a really bad space, what I would recommend for anybody is what self-care. I do radical self-care,
Yeah.
hot yoga, sauna, talking to friends, laughing is really good for me. I like cat videos.
Oh my gosh, those cat videos that have the filter on and the cat sees the filter and like falls off the chair.
They're funny. Your cats, yeah,
Yeah.
just any cat video makes me laugh. So
Right.
I think that's it. If somebody is
Yeah.
at rock bottom, and also I think, I've had friends and family members who have really been at rock bottom and perhaps they're struggling with something more serious, mental health or an addiction or something like that. And in that space, I would say you really do need to surround yourself with the people that can help you. And I am not that person, right? I'm not a
Right.
trained
Yeah.
therapist, but recognizing when that's the case and allowing yourself to get the help that you need and asking for it. I need help, and letting people asking for help was really hard for me.
Yep.
There was times when getting through the day was hard. And so how do I ask for help in that moment? What do I need in order to be supported, and being okay with that and recognizing that it does get better and life is so awesome, but
Yeah. Yeah.
eventually it'll get better again.
When it comes to asking for help, for me, it'll be a forever journey of curiosity of the help I need. And I have kind of my go-to self-care routine. I need a lot of naps. Like I get a lot of naps throughout the week. I feel like I have a lot of body pain from my trauma. And I've just come to learn that I don't always physically notice it, but my
Mhm.
body just gets exhausted. And I used to really judge myself and just now I just do it. And I know it's going to make me optimal. It's going to help me feel the best. But I also find that I'm constantly learning new things that I potentially could benefit from. I just did a somatic experiencing class, and that was huge. Like, I feel I've embraced healing for 10 years now. And every time I think I've done everything, I find another modality. And this one really dug deep into understanding my feelings and being able to be okay with them. If I'm feeling kind of meh today, I don't have to have a smile on my face, and that's okay. It's like my body's telling me how to feel, and my outside world can reflect that. And that's been
Mhm.
super empowering.
The energetic healing and emotional healing that you can find. Breath work has been amazing for me. I
Yeah.
have energy healers. I've done emotional clearing, which
Yep.
has been super powerful. I had my kids actually do emotional clearing through some of the stuff that we had to go through in our lives. And it's interesting because, and I have Reiki, obviously, like all of
Yeah.
the things, it's just like beautiful how there are healers in the world. And as soon as you open yourself to finding one and asking for help, it can be life-changing and life-altering once you get the healers you need.
Yeah.
Nutrition is another big thing for me, recognizing how nutrition plays into how I'm feeling. I stopped alcohol. I didn't have an alcohol problem, but I stopped drinking all alcohol this year, and, like, energetically, I'm just like, "Oh, I just feel so good." Like, and not even I used to have, like, 1 drink a week, if that, and just having that little change, shifts in nutrition and recognizing how movement works.
Shifting gears back to your business and how when you think of launch and taking these big imperfect leaps or little imperfect leaps, has there been ones that stand out to you personally that you had to overcome your own fear and trust and take the leap yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the most recent leap I've had to take is relaunching my company.
Yeah.
So last January 2024, I found out that my position was being eliminated. And because I shine too brightly,
Yeah. We can feel it. We get it, Allison.
I know I shine too brightly. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, now I'm smiling and laughing and having,
Yeah.
but at the time I was in complete, utter fear mode, completely
Yeah.
100%. I'm a single mom. And so what am I going to do as I relaunch my company? I needed to think about what was going to fit best with my life and who I wanted to be for my kids. Right. Because for me, my kids are my number one priority, and making sure that they have a great life and I can be there for them is really key, making sure they're happy and healthy and I can go do things and be the best version of myself too. So I created a fractional business. I started off with fractional COO work, Chief Operations Officer, running a personal brand. And then I did Chief Marketing Officer. And that's really where I'm going to put most of my focus moving forward. But recognizing that that allows me to help the people I want to help, because that's one of the things in my business in launch is oftentimes what I would do is I would go into organizations, I do leadership development, I do a keynote speech, and I would leave, and that was it. Like, there was
Yeah. Yeah.
no I didn't get to know the people, I didn't get to have an ongoing relationship with them, and it really bothered me because I wanna create relationships, I wanna help you launch in your business and in your career and all the things, and so the fractional work allowed me to use my strength zone, which is marketing for high-end brands, and to be involved in helping people win in their companies and building those personal relationships. I have the most amazing clients. I seriously attract high achieving leaders that are going to that next level of their business, but also are super kind and friendly. I have a happy and kind clause in my contracts.
Oh, I love that.
if you've ever worked in corporate, you understand why, right?
Yeah, of
I've worked
course.
with a lot of unhappy people that were unkind for very
Yes,
long
yes.
time, and I
I
didn't
feel like
love it.
whether it's hiring speakers, I also used to manage strategic partnerships. And
Yeah.
after we'd get off a pitch call, sometimes I would say they certainly didn't fit the happy clause. Like, do we really want to work with this company?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's
You
a
know?
big thing. It's like having
Yeah.
kind kind of weeds out a lot of people, but it also
Yeah,
aligns you with the right types of people, and it makes
definitely.
work really fun and the things that you do meaningful. And I think, as I think about the launch leaders that people have gone and come to leadership conferences or the people I've been able to speak with and all of the people, I mean, amazing, the most wonderful, beautiful, awesome, happy, kind people. And those are the types of people I think are gonna change the world. And so
Oh,
as
yeah.
I can support that, and I can support their dreams, and I can support recognizing that they have something in them. It's typically a whisper. And for you, Megan, I'm sure it was a whisper. It was a tiny
Yeah.
little whisper in the back of your head. About 5
Yeah.
years
That's
ago, you had a
right. Yeah.
whisper. It kept
Yeah.
coming to you. It's come to you for 5 years, and you
Yeah.
had that whisper, and that's how it starts, right? It's a
Yeah.
tiny little whisper. Everybody ignores the whisper, guys.
It's true.
That
It's
person ignores.
true. It's true. Oh my gosh, Allison, I have past stories before when I used to ignore that whisper. And it literally would do the Oprah where it would get louder. And I had 2 times in my life where I literally got head injuries. Like literally the universe hit me over the head because I was staying in a bad marriage for
Oh,
way long.
oh,
And
same. Megan,
it's
same.
really, oh my gosh.
Oh
And the
gosh,
other
yeah.
was a bad job. Not a bad job, but just one that I overstayed. And so both times I ended up with concussions and nobody hurt me. It wasn't like
Oh, wow.
personal violence or anything, but I know it was tied to the universe, just like eventually being like, wake up. You need to follow that calling. Stop ignoring me.
Yes, and oftentimes for me, it's like, so I'll get the whisper, and then after I get the whisper a few times, I will have people start asking me. People that don't know each other will ask me about it. And as soon as I get 2 or 3 people asking me the same
Yeah.
question, like, "What's your next book?" or "When are you
Yep.
gonna have that launch conference again? When are you gonna have that launch?" I've had that like 5 times in the last 2 weeks. I know, okay, thank
Yes.
you, universe, for reminding me that that's one of
Yes.
my steps of my journey. Okay.
Right? I know it's so helpful when you tap into it. It really is so
Yeah.
powerful. All right, quick pause in the mess to let you know if you haven't already, head over to meggandawson.com. You can sign up for my weekly email where I share real stories, honest reflections, and little love notes to remind you you're not alone in this whole becoming thing. While you're there, check out the Messy collection. Mugs, teas, sweatshirts, other goodies to keep you smiling, even on the days when the messy feels extra real. All right, back to the episode. So you mentioned the whisper in the high achievers that you work with, that they have that whisper. Are there some other commonalities that you find with those high achievers?
Yeah. So, I focus on high achieving leaders. And the reason I do that is I had a mentor, Cliff. He's the reason actually why I started the Launch Leadership Conference. He was a U.S. world bodybuilding champion into his 70s. He was also a Vietnam War vet that got shot in the heart. So
Oh my
I met him
gosh,
at I know,
it's
crazy,
insane.
crazy story. And just a lovely, wonderful, kind human being who had the most amazing mindset. I met him at a conference in Orlando and we became really great friends. And he was one of my number one mentors. He's the reason why I do the work I do today. And oftentimes what he would do is he would talk about this champion mindset. I actually have a book called Keep Going, How to Create a Champion Mindset. And he'd say, Allison, the top 1 to 3% of the population has this mindset and they keep going no matter what. And they recognize that it's going to take a lot of work and they're going to have to start making decisions with only 60% of the information. And so as he was training me and in recognizing my own power and my own potential, I recognized the power in that. And that's
Mm.
why when I'm talking to high achieving leaders, and that's typically who I speak with, I'm able to kind of understand their thought process because high achieving leaders actually in the workplace, they perform 400% better than average employees and they stick out like a sore thumb. And
Yeah,
that was
that's so
me,
true.
and I'm not trying to say, oh my gosh, Allison's so great, but I did. I got
Right,
a
right.
3-year strategic plan, a year and a half.
Yep.
They stuck out like a sore thumb. And my supervisor kept telling me to slow down and that I would intimidate people. It was just me being me. I wasn't trying to be intimidating. It was,
Right.
how I think. And I'm sure you get that, right?
Oh
Like,
my, I was
yeah,
told in my last role that they just weren't ready for me in that role. They just weren't ready for what I was bringing. And I was like, wow, like that's, it's like,
but
let
that's the
me
high
just,
achievers.
yeah,
Yes. And there's, we're a part of the population. And I think a lot of times people start to dim their light. And
yes,
as soon
that's
as that
so true.
happened, actually, and I haven't seen it very often, but I was talking to recruiters because I was looking for jobs and I was like, what am I going to do? And I remember one recruiter told me, she's a close friend of mine. She knows me pretty well and has been to many of my conferences and knows my background. She's like, you're not going to fit in many cultures. You
Yeah.
get that,
Yep. I've
right?
been, yep.
You're not going to fit in, and that's not a bad thing. And I had a different friend who's a leadership development trainer, and he's like, Allison, I think like more than one organization needs your energy. And so I
Yes.
say
Yep.
that to say, high achiever friends who are
Yep.
listening right now, well, if you're feeling kind of like an outsider and you're dimming your light because you feel like you're confined to this role or to this thing or to this relationship, try to figure out how you can step outside of it and step into who you truly are. Because
Yes.
there's another version of you that as soon as you start to tap into it will blow your mind.
Yes.
Absolutely blow your
Yes.
mind.
How can we also encourage the leaders that have high achievers on their team to start harnessing that so you don't lose everybody to starting their own business?
And and oftentimes what I find is it's a very intimidating and there's a lot of competition in corporate, right? And so it's hard. If you're a leader and you're leading somebody who's a 7 or 8 leader, that's going to be very challenging for you. You
Yep.
have to increase your leadership abilities and skills and understanding in order to be a leader that can lead that type of leader. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. And so recognizing as leaders, in order for us to attract that type of leader onto our team who's a high achiever, who, all around is going to make your team just thrive, right? They're going to come in with a smile. They're probably going to bring some coffee and they are going to be a powerhouse for what results happen in your organization. The unfortunate fact is many people don't have leadership training and they don't understand that they need to get better in order to be able to lead people at a higher level.
So back to the actual high achievers, I have a feeling there's a lot of listeners that are going to see themselves in that
Yep.
and wonder what are some of the imperfect steps that they can take to come into their own power.
That's a great question. So I would say that number one, typically what's happening in your life is you're going to have one area of life that is a big opportunity for you. And if you harness that one little area of your life, which is going to make a big impact, and you can leverage it. So, for example, look at your life. I like to do like the 5 F's: your faith, your family, your friends, your fitness, your field or career, and your fun. Choose one. What is that one area of life that has the most potential to take imperfect action to get a better result? Oftentimes, I find that health is related to many things. So, as soon as you start taking care of your health better, it will have a ripple effect on your financial life. It will have a ripple effect on your, the fun you're doing, like lots of different areas, right? Or your faith, whatever it might be. But there's some of them that as you do that, it will just impact many of them. As soon as you identify what is the area of life that if I could just take some imperfect action in, that like that thing that I need to do, it would make a big difference in my life and my confidence. And then start there and think,
Yeah.
okay, what's the one thing I could do today? And that's the only question you need to ask every day. What's the one thing I could do today? Okay, I'm going to go for a walk. What's the one thing I could do today? Okay, I'm going to learn about nutrition. What's the one thing I could do today? I'm going to go to the sauna. What's the one thing, like just keep
Yep.
asking yourself the question. If you're building a business, what's the one thing you could do today to grow your business or to put yourself out there or to align? And I think
Yep.
that's, Megan, that's what you're doing right now. You're like, is 6 weeks out of, ending a role. And here you are taking imperfect action. You're interviewing on a podcast. Like you're demonstrating to the high
Yeah.
achievers who are out there going, what do I do next? I want to start a business, but I don't know how. Just try something. Whatever's coming
Yeah.
to your mind, whatever's exciting to you, do it. Try it.
Yeah, it's so true. And for me, it really, this is a few weeks out, but in those first few days, I felt all the feels. I had a day or two of crying and feeling a little sorry for myself. And there's an underlying fear now starting my own business. But after the 2 days of crying, I was okay, I need to take control. So I made a badass playlist and I got outside and I moved. I always laugh and I wonder my neighbors on their Ring doorbell because I think by the end, I think I was dancing down the street because it just was like so much was coming through. I feel like it was just, no, this is something that maybe felt like it happened to me, but I really know that it happened for me. And it was time to put my money where my mouth is and launch the business I've talked about for a really long time now.
Launch. See, look at you, Meghann,
Yeah, there you go.
launching.
Yeah, I know. Look at that.
Potential.
That was even
And that's
organic. Well,
that's
yes,
exactly
yes.
what yeah, that's what it's all about, and I think that's as high achievers, the cool thing is you make things happen.
Yeah.
The superpower you have, my dear friends, is that you make things happen, and I think
Yep.
that when I'm working with high achieving leaders, it's awesome
Yeah.
because they have this can-do attitude. They might have a bad day, but they're just like, like, we're gonna just like how you did it, Meghann. You're just like,
Yeah.
I can feel sorry for myself, but then you flip a switch.
Yep.
And that's that internal drive to say, okay, now what do I need to do to make this work for me? And how am I going to
Yep.
help people? And what is this going to look like? And you take action on that, and a beautiful thing.
It is the power of just the next step. I used to feel every little step I was making a decision that was going to have to last forever. Whereas I've now come to learn that just a step forward is a step towards something. And
Hmm.
it keeps me from being stuck. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have to change directions a few times. It just, the keeping the movement going keeps me in control of my own steps and they're going to lead me somewhere.
And that's part of trusting the process. I think one of the visuals that John Maxwell gave me once, he was on stage and he's talking about oftentimes people think there's only one door, like there's only
Yeah,
one answer to whatever challenge you're
that's
facing right
right.
now.
Yeah,
He's like, here's how I think about it. I'm looking down the hall. There are so many doors I don't even know. And
right.
all I can open any of them and there's another
Yes.
possibility. So there are more than one
Yes.
answer to your challenge you're facing right now. And as soon as you get that, again, an abundance mindset to solving things that you're facing in your life, it's like, oh, I could go through this,
Yes.
that door, or I could find this. And then through that door, I might find another thing. And for imperfect action, I think recognizing that when you're putting things out there into the world, it's not going to be perfect and that's okay. Nothing is perfect. It really
Yeah.
isn't.
Yep.
And as I'm talking, I'm trained by some like really top tech entrepreneurs and they will create software and it won't be perfect. There's still bugs in their software
Yeah.
and they're okay with it. And then they'll even sell that software for a lot of money. And it's okay that it's not perfect. They don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yes, they want to make it work and functional, but at the end of the day, just do it.
Yeah. That's so true. Are there any other myths about leadership, personal growth in your experience? What are some other things you want to dispel?
Some myths about leadership or entrepreneurship, I would say the first one, obviously, that you need to know it all. You don't need to know it all, and you're not going to
Yep.
know it all. Nobody knows what they're
Nope.
doing.
Some people act like they know it all.
They
Oh,
pretend like they do, but like I've spoken to, the top leaders of organizations and they still don't know what's going on. The other thing I think is really focusing your effort on the next thing and not spreading yourself too thin. So I've written 6 books. And the reason people be like, that's a lot of books. Most people don't write 6 books. The reason why is because I focused on it. If
yeah.
you focus your energy, you will get it done. If you try to write a book, start a digital course, redo your website, do client work and something else all at the same time, it's not going to be. You need to have one main project. Obviously, you need to do other things too, but what is your big main thing? And then do it until it's done. Be like, I am going to get this thing done, whatever it is. I'm going to, for the next, I wrote my last book in 40 days. I just woke up every day and I said, for 40 days, I'm writing. We'll see what happens.
Wow.
And it worked.
Now, so
Kensuke,
walk us back then to your first book. What was the process for your first book?
my first book was actually within probably 4 to 6 months of
Okay.
writing. I didn't know it was going to be a book. I was in a life under construction moment in my life where everything was literally and figuratively under construction. We'd moved to a new city. I had just had a baby who was preterm. My mom was just diagnosed with breast cancer. Like everything in my life had been thrown upside down. And for whatever reason, I kept having these lessons through things I was reading or mentors coming into my life. And so I would write about it just to kind of capture it on my computer. I didn't think it was going to be anything. And then I was at a conference and Seth Godin, I had an opportunity to ask him a question. I'm like, I have all these things written. It's on my computer. I don't know what I should do. And he's like, Allison, just do it. And so I wrote a book and I published it. I was afraid that nobody would read it. It wouldn't help anybody. It ended up actually one of my closest friends, Melanie, came up to me at the first conference I spoke at Women's Entrepreneurship Day in Madison, Wisconsin. I was a keynote speaker on that book. And after I spoke, I did it for one person. She came up to me. She's like, I think I'm that person. And for the last 9 years, we've been really, really close. And she just wrote her own book and just started a new position. And, I think as soon as you start to do things to help serve other people, it becomes less about yourself and more about others. When you can get to that point, then you start to do things that you're afraid to do just because you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't about me. It's about something bigger than me. And I'm having a retreat on top of a mountain in May. It's called Launch Dream Retreat. Last year when I did it in July, I was so afraid. I almost canceled it because I'm like, who am I to do this? I don't know. I just had all of these limiting beliefs. And it turned out that dream wasn't for me. That dream was for everybody that showed up in the room. We had, I think,
Yes.
4 businesses launched. We had so many health goals. We had a nonprofit launched. People quit smoking. They like all the things. So now as it's like the universe constantly reminds you, right? And
Yes.
it's like,
Yes.
Allison, I'm giving this to you, but it's not about you. It's about
Yes.
you serving and helping other people. And once you start utilizing your gifts and recognize your strengths and you can serve in your purpose and your strength zone, oh my gosh, it just becomes so much fun. You're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm so energized and excited about what I get to do and who I get to help. And once you get into that space, it doesn't feel like work anymore. It just feels like purpose and passion. And I love that.
Oh, I love that. For somebody that's just getting started on my own, I've had one of the podcast episodes was my hardest to hit publish on. Just question, did I tell too much? Was the story too long? All the things to criticize it. And I hit publish. And then the next morning just woke up to a really nice text from somebody that it meant to. And to me, that was enough. That just one person, one story, one example of somebody that it landed and resonated with and needed it that day. To me, that was it. I just love getting those little bit of feedback in the moment. And it feels like a little bit of a hug from the universe. Just, yeah, you're doing what you're meant to be doing.
Right. And that, I think that alignment and the power in that is that I believe that's what creates the ripple effects out into the universe, right? Like you do
Yes.
one thing, you chase your goals and dreams. What you do is you inspire other people to chase their goals and dreams or to heal their trauma or to do whatever it is that you're doing. And that's the beautiful thing about the work that you're doing.
So I'm curious, you mentioned the retreat. Is there anything else you wanted to mention that you're working on right now?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm working on a lot of different things. I'm working on a group coaching program, and that is being formulated right now. So if you're interested in trying to figure out really around branding and growing yourself to that next level, I've built multi-million-dollar brands. And so I want to be able to empower people to go to that next level and really utilizing AI and just techniques that are brand new and cutting edge in order to go to that next level. High achieving leaders who want to grow need to be surrounded by other high achieving leaders. And that's what's energizing. And I love to be able to do that. So creating that and then looking at, what the year brings. I think obviously the Launch Leadership Conference keeps coming to me. So I don't know if that's going to be a thing.
Sign me up. Yes.
I know. It's a possibility.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, so there's just so many great things happening. And so I'm just being open to whatever that looks like. And I'm open to, another couple fractional CMO positions to work one-on-one with companies. But really, I think looking at how I can serve people and help them go to that next level is really, really key. That's what the underlying theme of everything that I do is.
Awesome. I have one more question for you. But before I get to that, if folks want to connect, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So launchsuccess.co is the easiest way to connect with me, and you can learn more about what I do and who I've helped. And all of those fun things. The podcast is on there and books and all of that. And if you're interested in connecting with me, you can connect with me through that as well.
Awesome. Well, it was such a pleasure having you on. Our last question right now, there are people that are in their rock bottom. They're in their messiest moment, or so it feels. I'm just curious, if you look back at kind of one of those moments for you, what advice do you wish would have arrived?
It gets better. And I feel, I think when you're at your rock bottom, actually, it's so interesting that you say that, because about 3 years ago at this time, I was crying every day. I was in the midst of a divorce. It was a very traumatic situation for me. And I just remember feeling so broken and feeling so crushed by the situation I was dealing with. I felt so bad for my kids. I felt so bad for myself. And I was just thinking about that right now. And like, who I am now versus who I was then. Still at the core, I'm Allison, but the strength and tenacity that you will gain through that hard thing will be so worth it. And the person you become on the other side of that pain it'll blow your mind. I wish somebody would have told me that it gets better and it will be better than you could have ever imagined. Because in that moment, you don't feel like it's the end of everything, but it can be the biggest gift in the world. Sometimes those hard, traumatic things that we go through are actually a gift. Not always, right? Sometimes people go through trauma and it really sucks and it's not. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But for me, at least, in my experience, it was really a gift from the universe to step into my power and to recognize my strength and to understand how I was creating a lot of the situations in my life because of what I was allowing and my people pleasing and my codependency. I recognize that now, and I don't need to be that person anymore, and that's okay.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. And I'm so excited to have gotten the chance to spend this time with you. I love the work that you're doing and putting out into the world. And it's so awesome to get to share a little piece of that with our messy community. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Meghann. What a joy it was to talk to you, and I appreciate that you're doing this.
Oh, thank you so much. Before we wrap today, I want to invite you to be part of the Becoming is Messy community. Subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And if there's anything that resonates with you, please leave a review. Your feedback means the world to me, and it helps other people find this community. Follow me on social media. I'd love to hear your ideas for future topics, your questions, and stories from your own messy moments. And if you're feeling inspired, check out the Becoming is Messy shop, where you can grab a mug, a t-shirt, or something else that reminds you to embrace your messy magic every single day. A huge thank you to the incredible Wolves and Sheep for providing the music for Becoming is Messy. Check them out on your favorite music streaming platform. As we close out today's episode, remember this: messy is just another word for growing. So keep showing up, keep laughing, and keep making beautifully awkward progress. Until next time, stay messy, my friends.